Chosen one, what they did to you was not supposed to end the way it is ending. Stop scrolling. Do not move past this. I am God, and I am speaking directly to you in this moment because there is something you need to understand about everything that was thrown at you, everything that was aimed at your name, your reputation, your peace, your future, your faith, every plot, every betrayal, every carefully constructed attempt to pull you down, hold you back, silence you, diminish you, or remove you from the path I placed you on. It backfired, not partially, not in some small, barely noticeable way, completely. What was sent to destroy you has done the opposite of what it was designed to do, and the people who set it in motion do not yet fully understand what they actually caused to happen on your behalf. But I need you to understand it, because you have been carrying the weight of what was done to you without knowing the full story of what I was doing with it behind the scenes. You have been healing from wounds without knowing that those same wounds were being used to build something in you and for you that could not have been built any other way. What they meant for your destruction, I meant for your elevation, and the elevation that is coming is directly proportional to the depth of what they tried to do to you. There is more to this story than you have been able to see from where you are standing, more than the pain, more than the loss, more than the confusion of wondering why I allowed any of it to happen at all. Stay with me. I am about to show you the part they never planned for. Type Amen if you agree and you are ready to hear what God is saying over your life right now. Something is happening right now that the enemy did not anticipate. And I need you to feel the weight of that statement before I go any further, because this is not a general encouragement meant for anyone who happens to be listening. This is a specific word for a specific person who has been through a specific kind of attack. An attack that was personal, an attack that knew your name, knew your weaknesses, knew exactly where to press to cause the most damage. You know what I am talking about. You felt it when it was happening, that particular sting of something that was not random, not accidental, not simply bad luck moving through your life. It was aimed, directed, intentional. And the people or circumstances behind it understood enough about you to make it hurt in the places that hurt the most. I saw all of it. I watched every move that was made against you. I was present for every conversation that happened about you without your knowledge. I witnessed every door that was closed in your face by hands that were working against your progress. I saw the tears you cried in private over things you could not even fully explain to the people closest to you, because the depth of the betrayal was almost too much to put into words. But here is what they did not see. They did not see me. They did not account for my presence in your story. They calculated everything except the one variable that changes every equation, and that variable is who I am and what I do for the people I have chosen and covered and called by name. They made a mistake when they came for you. And chosen one, that mistake is about to become the most significant turning point of your entire life. Type Amen if you trust God and you believe that what was meant to harm you is being turned around right now. I have been watching you through every single moment of this, not from a distance, not as an observer who noted what was happening and filed it away somewhere. I was present, fully, completely, intimately present in every moment that this attack moved through your life. I was there when it started. I was there when it intensified. I was there in the middle of the night when you lay awake trying to make sense of something that did not make sense because it was never supposed to make sense to you from the inside. You were not abandoned in any of it. I need you to receive that not just as a spiritual phrase, but as a literal fact about your experience. Every moment you felt alone in what you were going through, I was there. Every moment you felt unseen, undefended, unprotected, I was there, and I was not passive. I was not watching silently with my hands at my sides while you absorbed blow after blow. I was working, actively, purposefully, on your behalf. You did not end up here by accident. This message, this moment, this word reaching you at this precise point in your journey, I arranged this because I know exactly where you are right now. I know what the last season cost you. I know what you lost, what was taken, what was damaged, and what you are still in the process of recovering. I know you specifically, not as one of many. As you, the individual, the particular soul I formed and named and assigned a purpose to before the world had any opportunity to try to interfere with that purpose. The attacks that came against you came against someone I know by name, someone I watch over personally, someone whose story I am actively authoring, even when it feels like chaos is writing it instead. You were never outside of my sight, not once. Like this video right now, as a sign that you receive this personal word over your life. Now I want to go somewhere tender with you. Because before I show you what I did with what they did to you, before I reveal the full picture of how the attack backfired, I need to sit with you in the reality of what it actually cost you. I need you to know that I am not rushing past the pain to get to the promise. I see the pain. I have always seen it, and it deserves to be acknowledged before anything else is said. I saw every tear, not just the ones that fell openly, in moments where grief had permission to be visible. I saw the ones you held back in public because you had to keep it together. I saw the ones that came in the car, alone, when the weight of everything finally broke through the composure you had been maintaining for the sake of everyone around you. I saw the silent ones, the ones that did not even make it to your face but stayed trapped somewhere in your chest as a pressure that never fully released. I saw every single one. I know what it felt like to be hit by something you did not see coming. The disorientation of a betrayal that came from a direction you never expected, from a person, a place, a situation that was supposed to be safe. The particular confusion of being hurt by something you trusted. That kind of wound does not heal on the same timeline as ordinary pain. It goes deeper. It asks harder questions. Questions like, why did I not see it? Questions like, what does this mean about my judgment, my worth, my ability to trust what feels safe in the future? Questions that do not have quick answers and do not respond well to being rushed. I am not rushing you. I see the depth of what you carried through this. And I want you to know that the weight of it was never invisible to me, not for a single moment. And then there was the loneliness of it. Not just being alone, but the specific loneliness of going through something that other people could not fully understand even when they tried. The loneliness of sitting across from someone who cared about you and realizing that no matter how carefully you explained what happened, they were only ever going to grasp the surface of it. Because the full depth of what you experienced lived in a place inside you that words could not completely reach. You carried that alone. And on top of the loneliness, there was the feeling of being misread, of having your story told by people who did not know the full story, of watching a version of you, a distorted, weaponized version, circulate in spaces you could not control, among people who had no access to the truth of who you actually are, of having your character questioned by mouths that had no right to speak on it. That kind of wound is its own category of pain, because it does not just hurt you, it follows you. It shows up in rooms before you arrive. It colors the way people look at you before you have said a single word. And standing in the middle of that, choosing to keep your integrity intact when every part of you wanted to defend yourself loudly and forcefully, that took something extraordinary. You kept going anyway, through the misrepresentation, through the isolation, through the quiet devastation of watching things you built and people you loved be affected by something you did not cause and could not fully stop. You did not collapse under the weight of it. You are still here. And I need you to understand that the fact that you are still standing is not just your strength. It is evidence of my hand holding you up through every moment you did not think you could remain upright. Type LNLN1 if you believe God held you together through everything that tried to break you. Now I need to tell you something about every painful moment you just relived in your mind. None of it was wasted. Not the betrayal, not the false accusations, not the closed doors and the lost relationships and the seasons of confusion where you could not find solid ground, no matter how hard you searched for it. Not the nights that stretched so long they felt like they would never give way to morning. Not a single moment of any of it was allowed into your life without a purpose running underneath it that you could not see from where you were standing. You were not forgotten. You were being protected. I know that is difficult to receive when the pain was so real and so present. I know that purpose feels like a distant concept when you are in the middle of something that is actively costing you. But I need you to understand what I was doing while the attack was in motion, because the attack did not catch me off guard. I was not scrambling to respond. I was not surprised by what was moving against you. I was already ahead of it. Every attempt to destroy you was filtered through my hands before it reached you. What came through was not everything that was sent. I blocked more than you know. I redirected more than you realize. What you experienced, as painful as it was a fraction of what was aimed at you, and even that fraction I was already converting into something useful for your future before it finished landing. The delays were not punishment. They were positioning. The losses were not failures. They were removals of things that would have become obstacles in the next season I had prepared for you. The people who walked away were making room. The doors that closed were directing your steps toward doors I had already unlocked that they never had access to interfere with. Everything had a purpose. Everything still does. And the purpose is larger than the pain that carried you to it. Behind the scenes, while everything on the surface of your life looked like destruction, I was building. I need you to sit with that contrast for a moment, because it is one of the most important things I will say to you in this entire message. At the exact same time that the attack was in motion, at the exact same time that the betrayal was unfolding, the doors were closing. The losses were accumulating. I was constructing something on your behalf in the invisible places that the attack had absolutely no access to. They could reach your circumstances. They could not reach my plans. They could affect what was visible in your life. They could not touch what I was building in the hidden places. They had access to the surface, to your reputation, your relationships, your resources, your peace of mind in that season. But the foundation I was laying for your next chapter existed in a realm entirely beyond their reach, and I was working on it the entire time. Every piece of what I was assembling was being positioned with a precision that no human strategy could have managed. Connections were being arranged. Opportunities were being timed. Resources were being directed. The very people who would become instrumental in your next season were being moved into position while you were still in the middle of surviving your last one. Hope starts here, right now, in this moment, because I need you to begin to feel the shift in the atmosphere of your story, the subtle but unmistakable change in the direction the wind is blowing over your life. What was moving against you is losing momentum. What I have been building for you is gaining it. The tide is turning, chosen one. And what is coming toward you on that tide is the direct answer to everything that was sent to take you out. There is still more I must show you about the size of what is approaching and why it could only come now, after everything you just came through. Type 1212 if you trust in Jesus and believe that God was building for you, even while others were working against you. Now I want you to understand something about the specific nature of what is approaching you, because this is where the title of this message becomes more than just words. This is where it becomes the lived reality of your next season. They tried to destroy you, and in trying to destroy you, they unknowingly activated something in your story that would never have been activated any other way. They pressed a button they did not know existed. They set in motion a response from my hand that would not have been released at this magnitude without the magnitude of what they attempted. This is why you waited through all of it, not because I was slow, not because the blessing was held up by bureaucracy in heaven. You waited because what is coming required the full weight of what you went through to justify its size. The comeback I am releasing into your life is proportional to the attack that was launched against it, and the attack, chosen one, was significant, which means what I am sending back is significant. I do not respond to attacks on my chosen ones with small answers. I do not meet a coordinated effort to destroy someone I have called with a mild inconvenience to the ones who launched it. When I move on behalf of someone who has been targeted the way you have been targeted, I move in a way that leaves no room for misinterpretation. What is coming will be unmistakable. The people who watched you go through this season, the ones who doubted, the ones who distanced themselves, the ones who quietly wondered if you were going to make it, they are going to witness something in your life that reframes everything they thought they understood about your story. The narrative is about to change completely, and the ones who wrote the attack are about to discover that they authored something they never intended. The setup for your greatest chapter yet. You are almost there. And I need you to hear that not as a phrase designed to comfort you through more waiting, but as a precise location marker for where you are standing right now in the timeline of everything I have been preparing. Almost there. The distance between where you are and where I am taking you has collapsed down to something smaller than your fear is currently telling you it is. I know it does not always feel that way. I know that when you have been in a difficult season long enough, every day starts to feel like more of the same, like the breakthrough is always just around the corner, but the corner never actually arrives. I know the exhaustion of hope that keeps reaching and keeps having to reach again. I know what it costs to stay open, when staying open has already cost you so much. But the ground beneath your feet is different now. Something has shifted in the unseen places surrounding your life. Something that your natural senses have not yet fully registered, but that your spirit already knows is real. The atmosphere around your story has changed. The pressure that was working against you is losing its grip. The resistance that made every forward step feel like moving through something thick and heavy is thinning out. You are breaking through, right now, not into something small, not into a modest improvement on what you had before the attack came. You are breaking through into the version of your life that the attack was specifically designed to prevent you from reaching, and the fact that you are still standing, still moving, still believing after everything that was thrown at you means the attack failed at its only real objective. It did not stop you, and chosen one. What could not be stopped by everything they threw at you is about to step into a momentum that nothing ahead of you will be able to stop either. The moment of arrival is closer than your next breath dares to believe. Type #1010 right now to open yourself completely to every blessing God has been holding in reserve for this exact moment. This is the moment everything changes, not a moment like the ones before it, not another step in the direction of something better. This, right here, right now, as these words land in the deepest part of who you are, this is the turning point. This is the pivot. This is the moment the entire story has been building toward, the moment that gives meaning to every chapter that came before it. The moment that makes the pain make sense in a way that nothing else could. They tried to destroy you. It backfired completely. I need you to receive the full weight of that declaration right now. What was launched against you with the intention of ending your story has instead become the very mechanism that catapults you into the most powerful season of your life. The attack did not weaken you. It qualified you. It did not reduce you. It refined you. It did not take you out of the running. It positioned you at the front of something the attackers never even knew they were setting in motion. This is the backfire. The plan was to break you down so completely that rebuilding would be impossible. But every attempt to break you down only broke away what was never supposed to be part of your foundation in the first place. The people who left, they were not your foundation. The doors that closed, they were not your destiny. The reputation they tried to damage, it is being rebuilt by my hand into something that carries far more authority than what existed before the attack came. You are not picking up the pieces of a destroyed life. You are standing at the beginning of a reconstructed one, built better, built stronger, built on a foundation that has now been tested under fire and proven unbreakable. I am releasing into your life right now the full reversal of everything the enemy intended. Not a partial recovery, a complete, undeniable, unmistakable reversal. The backfire is your blessing, and it is arriving now. Now let me tell you specifically what this reversal looks like in the actual landscape of your life. because this changes everything, and I want that phrase to mean something concrete for you, not just something that feels powerful in the moment and then fades when you return to your daily reality. The shift that has just occurred in your story is not an emotional shift only. It is not simply a change in how you feel about what happened. It is a structural change, a fundamental rearrangement of the forces that are operating around your life. The things that were working against you are being dismantled, not slowed down, not inconvenienced, dismantled, taken apart at the root level so that they cannot reassemble and come at you again in a different form. The access that was being used against you is being revoked permanently. The influence that was being leveraged to hold you back is losing its power over your path. The narrative that was constructed to define you in a diminished way is collapsing under the weight of what I am now releasing over your name. This changes everything about how you move forward. Where before you were navigating around opposition, you are going to find the opposition gone. Where before you had to fight for every inch of ground, the ground is going to begin opening up in front of you without the same resistance. Where before every step forward required twice the energy because something was always pushing back, that pushing back is ending. And what is filling the space where the opposition stood is something entirely different. Favor, open doors, accelerated movement toward the things I placed in your life as promises before the attack ever came. The restoration is not going to look like a slow climb back to where you were. It is going to look like a sudden, undeniable surge forward into somewhere you have never been before. Chosen one, the people who thought they finished your story just wrote the introduction to your greatest chapter. Type yes right now to receive every miracle, every restoration, and every reversal God is releasing into your life in this season. Now let me show you what the other side of this looks like, because I want you to be able to see it clearly enough that when it begins to materialize in your natural life, you recognize it without hesitation. I want to picture what I am building for you to be so vivid in your spirit that doubt does not get the opportunity to reframe it as something too good to be true. It is not too good to be true. It is exactly as good as I promised. And I want you to hold the full image of it without flinching. Doors are opening that the attack was specifically designed to keep closed, not cracked, not partially ajar in a way that requires you to force your way through. Wide open, swinging on their hinges with a momentum that signals invitation rather than reluctant permission. Doors in the areas of your life where the damage was most visible. Doors that open onto something better than what existed before the attack came. Because what I am restoring is not a replica of what was lost. I am building something upgraded. What I am constructing for your next season takes everything you were before the attack and adds to it everything you became because of it. The wisdom you gain from the betrayal, the discernment you develop from being misread, the unshakable groundedness that can only come from having your foundation tested at the deepest level and discovering it held. Those things are now part of what you carry into every room you enter, and the rooms I am leading you into are different from the ones you have been standing in. They are rooms where what you carry is recognized, valued, and received. Rooms where the right people are already present and waiting. People who were assigned to your next chapter, not your last one. What I am building for you has been under construction the entire time the attack was in motion, and it is almost ready to be revealed. And the blessings moving toward you are not arriving in isolation. They are coming connected, linked to each other in a chain of goodness that builds on itself with every new arrival. One door opens, and through it walks a person who carries a key to another door. One connection leads to an opportunity that leads to a resource that leads to a breakthrough in an area of your life you had quietly stopped expecting to see movement in. That is the nature of what I am releasing. Not a single isolated blessing, but a cascading sequence of them, each one positioned to compound the effect of the one before it. I do not do restoration halfway. The connections that are coming toward you are not casual. They are not coincidental. They are people I have specifically selected and redirected toward your path. Some of them from circumstances that seem completely unrelated to your story. Some of them from places you would never think to look. But when they arrive, you will feel the alignment in the meeting. You will sense that something intentional is present in the encounter. That intentionality is my signature. People will begin to notice the shift in your life before you have fully articulated it yourself. The ones who watched you go through the fire will see something in you now that was not there before, not despite the fire, but because of it. A quality in your presence, a weight in your words, a steadiness in the way you carry yourself that comes from having survived something that was designed to be unsurvivable and discovering that you are still standing on the other side. That is not ordinary. That is not something anyone can manufacture or perform. That is the mark of someone who went through the refining process and came out as something purer and stronger and more themselves than they were when they went in. You are that person. You came out, and what is coming toward you is coming for exactly who you became in the fire. Type 222 right now to receive every connection, every open door, and every compounding blessing assigned to your restoration season. Now I need to tell you something about who you actually are, because the attack was not just an attack on your circumstances, it was an attack on your identity. That was the real target, not your reputation, not your resources, not your relationships, as painful as the damage to those things was. The real objective was to make you believe something false about yourself, to make you internalize the narrative that was being constructed about you from the outside, to make the diminished version of you that the attack was projecting become the version of you that you accepted as true. It did not succeed. I chose you before the attack came. I knew the attack was coming before you did. And I chose you with full knowledge of everything that would be thrown at you, with full knowledge of the weight you would have to carry, the losses you would sustain, the questions you would wrestle with in the dark. I chose you knowing all of it. And I did not choose you in spite of your journey. I chose you because of what your journey would produce in you. I chose you because of your capacity to feel deeply without being destroyed by what you feel. I chose you because of the way you protect other people even when no one was protecting you. I chose you because even in your most broken moments, the thing I placed inside you at the very beginning, the calling, the purpose, the irreplaceable assignment, never went dark. They tried to extinguish something they did not have the authority to touch. Your identity is not assigned by the people who came against you. Your identity is not determined by the season you just survived. Your identity was established by me before time, before the attack, before any voice had the opportunity to speak anything over your life other than mine. I chose you because no one else could carry what I designed specifically for you to carry. And chosen one, that assignment did not change by a single word when the attack came against it. But I know there is still a voice speaking underneath everything I have just said. A quiet voice, a persistent one, the kind that does not argue loudly. It simply whispers just below the surface of your belief, planting small questions in the soil of everything you are trying to receive. You may be thinking, but what if this is too late? You may be thinking, but the damage was so extensive, so visible, so deeply woven into the fabric of things that I am not sure even God can fully reverse what was done. You may be thinking, people like me do not get stories like this. I need you to hear me dismantle that thought with absolute precision. The doubt you are feeling right now is not wisdom. It is not discernment. It is not the voice of reason protecting you from disappointment. It is the last defense of an attack that has already failed, a final attempt to steal from you the very blessing that the attack unknowingly produced. If you could be talked out of receiving what I have for you at the finish line, then everything you survived on the way here becomes a journey with no arrival. I did not bring you through all of that for an arrival that never comes. The restoration I am releasing over your life is not conditional on the extent of the damage. I am not limited by the size of what was broken. I am not working within the constraints of what seems logistically recoverable from a human perspective. I operate outside of those constraints entirely, and what looks irreparable from where you are standing looks like raw material from where I am standing. Not too broken, not too late. Not too complicated, not too public, not too far gone for the hand that created everything that exists to reach into and reconstruct completely. The same God who formed you from nothing can restore you from anything. Your doubt is understandable, but it is not accurate. And I am asking you right now to choose what I am saying over what the doubt is whispering. Type 777 right now to declare that no doubt, no fear, and no voice from the past has the final word over your future. And now I want to bring something into the places inside you that are still braced for impact. Because I know that even after everything I have spoken over you, even with the shift, even with the reversal, even with the identity I just reinforced over your name, there are places in you that have not yet fully relaxed. Places that learned through this last season that safety is not guaranteed. Places that built walls not out of stubbornness, but out of survival, because staying open had already cost you in ways that took your breath away. I see those places. I am not asking you to pretend they do not exist. I am asking you to let me speak directly into them, the guarded ones, the ones that flinch when something good approaches, because experience taught them that good things sometimes carry a hidden cost. The ones that want to believe what I am saying but are waiting for the other shoe to drop, because the last time things felt hopeful, what came next was the hardest season of your life. Even in the silence after the attack, I was there. In every moment of aftermath, when the noise of what happened finally quieted and you were left alone with the wreckage of it, wondering what came next and whether anything would ever feel stable again, I was present in that silence, not distant, not observing from somewhere removed from the reality of what you were living through, present in the way that only I can be present, closer than the air around you, more aware of your interior world than you are yourself. You were never unprotected, not for a single moment. The attack reached you. I was already between you and the full force of it. What you experienced was what came through after my hand had already absorbed the rest. And even that remainder, even the portion that made it through, I was converting the entire time it was happening. Nothing that touched you was wasted. Nothing that hurt you was purposeless. And nothing that came against you was ever operating outside of the reach of my response. I know your name, not the name that was dragged through conversations you were not present for, not the name that was attached to a narrative someone else constructed about you for their own purposes, not the name that exists in the minds of people who only ever knew the version of you that the attack made visible to them. I know the name that belongs to who you actually are, the name I spoke over you before you were born, the name that carries the full weight of everything I created you to be and everything I have called you toward. That name has never been in question. Not to me. I know every detail of your life with an intimacy that goes beyond what any human relationship has ever offered you. I know the dreams that survived the attack because they were planted too deep inside you for anything on the surface to reach them. I know the moments of unexpected grace that appeared in the middle of the hardest days, the small mercies that kept you moving when nothing logical was giving you a reason to. I know the private victories that nobody witnessed and nobody celebrated, the ones where you chose integrity when compromise was available, and you chose faith when doubt was louder. I saw every one of those moments. I counted every one. I know the version of you that existed before the attack, and I know the version of you that came through it. I love both of them with the same complete, unconditional, inexhaustible love. But I want you to know that the version standing on the other side of what you just survived carries something that the version before it did not yet have. An authority, a depth, a credibility that only comes from walking through fire and emerging with your faith still intact. You are fully known by me, every wound, every scar, every hidden corner of your story, and you are fully loved in the knowing. That love does not waver. It does not have conditions. It did not diminish by a single measure when the attack came. Type Amen right now to receive this word and declare that you are fully known, fully loved, and fully covered by the hand of God. Now I need to give you something specific to carry forward from this moment. Because everything I have spoken over you, the reversal, the restoration, the open doors, the compounding blessings, the identity that was never touched by the attack, All of it requires a corresponding posture from you as it begins to arrive. Not earning, not striving to make it happen through your own effort. The work of turning the attack into a backfire was mine, and I have already done it. What I am asking from you now is something different. I am asking you to receive without shrinking. Because here is what I know about people who have been through what you have been through. And I know it because I designed the human heart, and I understand exactly how it responds to extended seasons of attack and survival. When the restoration finally begins to arrive, the instinct is often to make yourself small in the receiving of it, to qualify your worthiness before accepting it, to hold back from fully stepping into what is being offered because some part of you is still braced for it to be taken away. Do not hesitate when it arrives. When the door opens, walk through it with your full self, not a cautious, half-present version of yourself that is still managing the fear of another disappointment. When the connection appears, engage with it completely, without the defensive distance that the last season taught you to maintain. When the opportunity lands in front of you, receive it as what it is. Not a test, not a trap, not something too good to be true. A delivery. From my hand to yours. Act with faith in the moment of arrival. Move with the certainty of someone who knows that what is coming was sent specifically for them by a God who does not make mistakes and does not offer things he does not intend to follow through on. Obedience in the moment of arrival is what closes the gap between the promise and the possession. And chosen one, the arrival is already in motion. Be ready to receive it with open hands and an open heart. You made it to this moment. I need you to feel the significance of those words in the full context of everything you have been through. Not just made it to this video, not just made it to the end of this message. You made it through the attack. You made it through the betrayal, the false narratives, the closed doors, the lonely nights, the seasons of confusion where the ground beneath you felt like it was shifting constantly and nothing stable seemed within reach. You made it. You are still here. And I want you to know that reaching this moment, still believing, still open, still willing to receive a word from me after everything that tried to convince you that I had abandoned you or forgotten you or that your story was heading somewhere beyond the reach of my restoration. That took something remarkable from you. I am so proud of you, not for surviving perfectly, not for never doubting or never struggling or never having moments where the weight of it all pressed down so hard that you wondered how much longer you could hold it. I am proud of you for the one thing that mattered most through all of it. You did not let the attack have the final word. You kept your face turned toward me even when turning away would have been so much easier. That kind of faith is not common. It is not small. It moved me. It moves me still. And now, I want you to receive something in return, not as a transaction, but as a gift from a father who watched his child walk through fire and never once stopped being proud of what he saw. The gift of knowing your story is not finished. The gift of knowing the next chapter is being written by my hand. The gift of knowing that what was designed to be your ending has become your beginning. You're deeply, completely, permanently loved. Not despite what you went through, but through it, in it, and on the other side of it. Carry that forward. You have earned the right to walk in it fully. Type ES right now if you received this word and you believe that your greatest season is not behind you, it is ahead.